In an age of constant connection, where every move is tracked and every signal is logged, we hold one truth to be self-evident. Nothing truly vanishes. But on March 8, 2014, that foundation of our modern world was fractured. A Boeing 777, a 600,000-pound marvel of engineering carrying 239 souls, flew into the dark and disappeared. It didn't just fall off the map, it was erased. For over a decade, it has remained aviation's most profound and painful enigma. This is the story of not just a lost plane, but of a search that pushed the limits of technology, the endurance of hope, and our understanding of the lonely, silent world that lies beneath the waves. It's just after midnight in Kuala Lumpur. Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 is preparing for its 6-hour journey to Beijing. The terminal is a familiar mosaic of human stories. Families sharing last goodbyes, business travelers typing on laptops, children dozing in their parents' arms. There is no premonition, no sense of history waiting in the wings. This is just another flight, on just another night. At 12:41 a.m., MH370 lifts off into the humid Malaysian air. In the cockpit, Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, a veteran pilot with 18,000 hours of flight time. Alongside him, First Officer Fariq Abdul Hamid. The climb to cruising altitude is flawless. For 38 minutes, every system performs exactly as designed. At 1:19 a.m., as the plane prepares to enter Vietnamese airspace, Captain Shah makes his final routine transmission. "Good night, Malaysian 370. Utterly standard. Tragically, final. 2 minutes later, at 1:21 a.m., something happens. The plane's transponder, the device that communicates its identity and altitude to civilian air traffic control, is switched off. On the glowing screens of controllers in Kuala Lumpur and Ho Chi Minh City, the icon for MH370 blinks and then vanishes. At first, there is no alarm, a technical glitch, perhaps. But as minutes stretch into an agonizing silence, a cold reality begins to set in. Vietnam's controllers call and receive no reply. Malaysia tries and is met with the same void.
But the plane was not gone. Not yet. Military radar, operating on a different system, was painting a far stranger picture. A ghost on the screen, stripped of its identity, was doing the unthinkable. It wasn't flying towards Beijing. It had made a sharp, deliberate turn back to the southwest, flying silently across the Malay Peninsula. It was a phantom, moving through the night with no voice, no beacon, no warning. By 2:22 a.m., it passed the limits of military radar and flew out over the Andaman Sea. And then, it was truly gone. The news exploded. How does a modern airliner simply cease to exist? The initial search began immediately. A massive international effort focused on the South China Sea, the logical place for a plane on a path to Beijing to have gone down. Dozens of ships and aircraft from multiple nations descended on the area, scouring every square mile of water. They found nothing. No wreckage, no oil slick, not a single seat cushion. It was as if the sea had swallowed it whole. For days, the world searched in the wrong ocean. The truth, when it finally emerged, was staggering. Investigators, digging through satellite data, uncovered a series of ghostly electronic whispers.
An Inmarsat satellite, in a fixed orbit over the Indian Ocean, had received 7 automated handshakes from MH370. These were not location data, but simple pings, an hourly confirmation that the aircraft's satellite communication system was still powered on. By analyzing the time it took these signals to travel, experts calculated 2 vast arcs of possible locations, one to the north, and one stretching deep into the desolate expanse of the southern Indian Ocean. The northern route was quickly dismissed. It crossed over heavily monitored airspace. The plane would have been seen. That left only one terrifying possibility. MH370 had turned south and flown for hours on autopilot, a ghost flight, over one of the most remote and hostile environments on Earth, until its fuel was exhausted. The search had to move. The new search zone was a place of brutal isolation, thousands of kilometers southwest of Australia. The Indian Ocean here is not a placid sea. It is a vast, deep wilderness where waves can tower over ships and the seafloor plunges into trenches and underwater mountain ranges, a landscape less understood than the surface of the moon. This was not a search for a needle in a haystack. It was a search in a haystack the size of a continent, in the middle of a storm. Australia led the new phase, turning Perth into the hub of a global mission. But the tyranny of distance was immense. It took days for ships just to reach the search area. And beneath the surface, the challenge was even greater. To find the wreckage, they first had to map the abyss itself, using sonar to create the first ever detailed charts of this forbidding terrain. For 16 months, the ocean offered only silence. Then, in July 2015, a world away on Réunion Island, a piece of a wing washed ashore, a flaperon. Serial numbers confirmed the impossible. It was from MH370. Over the next 2 years, more than 30 pieces of debris were found, scattered by currents across the shores of Africa. It was the first physical proof, a heartbreaking confirmation, that the plane and everyone on board had been lost to the sea. The debris offered clues, but not answers. It confirmed the plane had met a violent end, but it couldn't say why. And the main wreckage, the fuselage, the cockpit, and the all-important black boxes, remained hidden. In the vacuum of evidence, theories multiplied. Was it a catastrophic mechanical failure? A fire or sudden decompression could have incapacitated the crew, leaving the plane to fly on as a ghost flight until it ran out of fuel. This scenario, favored by the Australian Transport Safety Bureau, explains the silence and the long, steady flight path south. Or was it something more deliberate? The transponder being turned off, the sharp turn, these actions suggest human input. The investigation turned to the cockpit. Captain Zahari's home flight simulator contained deleted flight paths heading toward the southern Indian Ocean, a detail that fueled speculation of pilot suicide. His family and colleagues, however, vehemently deny this, describing him as a dedicated professional. Without the cockpit voice recorder, the theory remains a deeply divisive and unproven shadow over the investigation. Hijacking, too, remains a possibility, though no group has ever claimed responsibility. An unusual silence for a terrorist act. By 2017, after scanning 120,000 square kilometers of seabed at a cost of hundreds of millions of dollars, the official search was suspended. A private search in 2018 by the American company Ocean Infinity also came up empty. For the families, it was an unbearable blow. The world, it seemed, was giving up. The mystery was in danger of being consigned to history, unsolved. But technology does not stand still, and neither does the pursuit of truth. Now, over a decade later, a new chapter may be opening. The tools available today are generations beyond those used in the initial search. A new effort, potentially led once again by Ocean Infinity under a no-find, no-fee proposal, would not rely on slow, towed sonar. Instead, it would deploy a fleet of advanced, autonomous underwater vehicles. Think of them as a swarm of intelligent drones, capable of diving miles deep and working in tandem to scan the complex, rugged seabed with unprecedented precision. They can navigate treacherous underwater canyons and survey steep ridges where wreckage could lie hidden, painting a high-resolution portrait of the abyss. This isn't just about better hardware. In the years since the search went cold, scientists have developed far more sophisticated drift analysis models. By studying the barnacles on the recovered debris and running thousands of simulations of ocean currents, they have dramatically narrowed the most probable crash site to a smaller, more manageable area along the seventh arc. This new search would not be a blind sweep. It would be a targeted, scientific mission, guided by a decade of accumulated data and learning. The question is no longer if we can find it, but when we will commit to looking again. For the 239 families caught in a decade of ambiguous loss, the answers lie locked in the cold, silent deep. Finding MH370 is about more than solving a technical puzzle. It is about closing a wound that has remained open for too long. It is about bringing 239 souls home. The ocean is vast, and its secrets are well kept. But the resolve to uncover the truth, powered by cutting-edge technology and an unyielding human spirit, may finally be strong enough to break the silence. The world is waiting.